We are starting soon. Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of the Album Book Club. This week we are checking out Wetdream by Willy Rodriguez. On Apple Music, it is Willy Rodriguez Was Taken. This album came out in 2023, is labeled as alternative. It's not. We're considering it noise pop. At the least, it is noise music and akin to that. So you guys have anything you want to tack onto that?
No, I'll get started soon.
I did just see this came out on Christmas Eve of 2023. Wild release. Let's just hop into our top three, I guess. I have Rosemary, Lost in Translation, and Dish Rags.
I have Snowing in Las Vegas, Rosemary, and Playing Dead.
I had Falling Asleep on the Phone, Playing Dead, and Rosemary. And I do apologize for how wild that number one is.
Yeah, a little wild, buddy.
It's fine.
For my bottom track, I have Revisited.
Ooh, my bottom track is also Revisited.
You're not going to believe me.
Going 3 for 3.
My bottom track is Revisited. Is that 2 weeks in a row that we're all the same?
Yeah, the definitive bottom track.
I did have another one up until then.
Oh, yeah.
Ironically was Dish Rags.
That's fair. All right. I guess we can hop right into our first track, titled Untitled. I gave it a 5 out of 10.
Actually, it's titled Intro, too, on some sources, but I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 5.
The rules.
Yeah, it's an intro.
Yeah, I liked the vibey acoustic guitars that move into the rock, but as soon as it got to rock, everything started peaking and distorting, and
Common theme.
yeah.
Will not be the last time we hear that.
No, it's just the whole album.
Yeah. It lets up sometimes, and you get really excited, and then it brings you back. Yeah. I don't have anything to say about this. It was a pretty standard intro. It didn't mislead me into what I was going to hear, so that's points towards it, I suppose.
Yeah, perfectly fine intro. We just have rules around here.
All right. Go on to track 2, Stop Calling. I give this a 5 out of 10.
I'll give this a 6.
I also gave this a 6.
It took me about halfway through this song to realize that the fuzz was not on just the guitar and vocals, but on the entire master track. And that was a decision I don't think I could ever get past, especially because it made the drums sound like... the only way I can describe it is tonic water. And the bass was non-existent when the fuzz was peaking and breaking my AirPods. That was fun. I really did think I was going to have to buy a new pair of headphones after this.
Yeah, speaking of which, they got me so hard that I listened to other music. I tried to find things that sound similar to this to listen to it and make sure that's not just a genre-specific thing. But I don't know if it's just a distortion on the master bus or if it's just bad gain staging in whatever forms of the process, because at some points, it's whenever it gets to a certain loudness level, everything just breaks.
That's what makes me think it's over the masters, because once everyone kicks in, it just pushes everything to the peak.
Well, it sounds like digital clipping at sometimes, too, so it may be a little bit of both.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say there's a song later that it's definitely digital, but there's too much fuzz, too much distortion on this whole song.
Yeah, you literally can't hear anything that's going on. I really appreciated the parts of the song I could hear, which, again, is a common theme. I think if I could comprehend or even... understand the majority of this record, I would, I don't know, I'd at least have tried to like it.
I think when I was doing my first listen, I had a thought that kind of backs that up. I thought that if I heard somebody do a cover of any of these songs in like a slightly different genre, I would like it better than these.
Yeah, and I like, this is not one of those cases that it's like, oh, I just don't get it. You know, I'm not making fun of a whole genre of music. It's like, it's objectively a problem.
Noise music?
No,
Or-
I mean just the amount of distortion on everything.
yeah.
That makes it hard to, like, I understand distorted vocals for the sake of
Mhm.
distorted vocals, but everything being the same distortion just molds it into it's just mud.
I mean, the easiest way to think about it is if you went to a live show and everybody was set like this, would you be happy with the show you saw?
Well, at least then you could have perceived the energy and maybe hopefully have heard some of what's coming off stage.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That may have benefited this.
I don't think it was on this track, but I did write that some of these songs, hearing them live, would probably be a better experience than the recordings.
I think it'd be overwhelming. If they're clipping my headphones, what are they doing to my ears right in front of the speaker? That is my fear.
Take a step back, put some earplugs
Some
in.
earplugs.
Yeah, I did note that a lot of the parts were fairly messy, though. This is not the first track, or it's not the last track, but this is the first track the drums just randomly are not in time for a handful of bars, and then whenever they recorded the next section, they're back in.
I think some of that at some points is stylistic choices, and then at other times it just isn't. Like, it's just a tempo thing. Because there is one later where I thought it was the drummer being out of time, and then I heard that the bass player actually kicked into that timing with him, and it was just the guitar and vocals doing something else. So I think the bass being heard helps.
There's definitely some times that it's interesting. You know, they're kind of moving time back and forth, but I'm talking about like stuff just being completely not correct.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever. I mean, I talk a lot about musicianship on this, and I probably shouldn't, but that's kind of what I listen for, especially when I can't understand the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
That was my biggest issue, is especially these first two tracks. I heard maybe 3 words the entire time that I could actually understand.
I do know at one point they started screaming, or at least just wailing into the mic.
Yeah, that
and
happens a couple times.
That was scary. So.
There's one track where I was actually frightened by the lyrics showing up.
Mm-hmm. All right. Move on to track 3, Dish Rags. I give this a 6 out of 10.
6. Yep.
I gave this one a 4.5. This was the one where the lyrics showing up startled me.
So this one specifically did not sound like a distortion plugin, but like a bit crusher. It actually sounded like something was either done wrong and not, I guess, dithered correctly or something in a very interesting way in the recording process, or there is just a weird bit crush going over everything.
I thought this one started fuzz, switched up to bit crusher.
Yeah, that's
Cause
the beginning is definitely fuzz.
Because it gets really weird, and then you get like the bell kit in there, which was cool. And then you get the drums being way ahead of everybody else.
You know, I didn't look it up, but if this was recorded on something like a Porta Studio, that's probably the way in which it would break. You would probably get some sort of interesting analog overdrive at first as you're driving the pre's, and then you would start to hit the converters and get the really nasty stuff going if it was on some sort of digital recorder instead of going into a computer.
Yeah.
I did like the energy in this song. And then the second third of it was better. They were just playing quieter, so the thing wasn't as destroyed.
Yeah, you mean like after it like slows down a little bit and you can actually hear what's happening at all?
Yeah, it was kind of weird. It's kind of like being taken out of this weird space where nothing makes sense, and it sounds like you're just in a closet with people screaming all around you. And then suddenly it's like music appears for a second, and then you get thrown right back in it.
I'm gonna comment like that's what the whole thing meant actually.
Yeah, I mean, again, I get it as an artistic choice. It's just so much. It's an objective problem for me.
Yeah, this was the one where I could understand the least of what was happening throughout pretty much the whole song, not even just vocals, but that is my problem with most of this album, is that I can't, even when I'm reading the lyrics of this one, I couldn't understand what he was saying. I have the answers right in front of me.
I liked the way that this song was random, but it was almost one of those things where it was like it was too random for me to predict where it was gonna go. So you just had to hang on and enjoy the ride.
I feel like that's the point.
And this one was more legible, at least music-wise, than some other ones, or it was a better choice, I think, music-wise. This one felt less egregious in its switch-up compared to some other ones we get.
That's fair.
It just flowed a little better, I suppose. As far as all these songs go, half of them are mishmash songs, and the other half are too short to be songs.
Yeah.
They're pushing it.
Some of them are.
Yeah, I mean, a minute and a half, 2 minutes is about the peak of any sort of musical thought we get on the whole album.
Yeah, they and that's the thing is all the longer songs aren't prog songs. They're just 3-minute top songs with repeated sections that get sandwiched. And this one felt the least like that, I think. It felt like it's still two like similar songs, but if they would have just thrown in the right bridge, it would have been one song. So yeah, that's why it was rated a little better than prior, or than what we're gonna see coming up, I suppose. All right, anyone have anything else for track 3? Going to track 4, Rosemary. I gave this a 6.5.
Oh, this one got a 7.
Going right in the middle, 6.75.
There was a pretty okay drum intro. I didn't hate it. We got some doo-wop vocals. It kind of left that pretty quickly, and then the whole song itself was short. Wait, was this one short, or did it have a fake-out ending? I can't remember.
This one I think was short.
I thought it was short. Yeah. Oh yeah, I have fake-out endings written. So yeah, this one was just really short, but you could hear the bass on this one like the whole time. I was really happy about it.
Yeah, the biggest note I have is that there's no distortion on the whole mix.
Yeah, my first note was keep the keyboard so that we can actually hear everything else that's happening. Yeah, maybe it's because of the songs that it was after, but this one did feel like more of a song. I definitely liked it better than the last two. That was loud.
Was it me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What?
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 What was loud?
Oh yeah, I also have a note about the bass being the normal level, because one of the songs prior, it was way too loud. I think it was Dish Rags, was way too loud, and the one before it had too much fuzz. So this was the correct amount of bass.
You guys, I mean, I literally wrote 1950s doo-wop. Logan took my only other note.
Yeah, I really thought this was where the album was going to settle in. So we still got 10 tracks, or whatever it is. My bad, 9 tracks.
25 if you count all the splits.
Yeah. And it did not. They ramped it back up, and it's quite disappointing. This was a really good, ear break, though. I was getting a headache from the last song.
Mm-hmm.
Darn fuzz. All right, we'll hop into track 5, Snowing in Las Vegas. I give this a 5 out of 10.
Ooh, this one got a 7.5.
Give this one a 6.
It was a slower song. The energy pulled back, which if I'm gonna not be able to hear everything to what I think it should sound vaguely like, and not peak my headphones, there just needs to be energy. This wasn't it. The acoustic was cool. We got an oompa beat, like that a lot. It did get really quiet, except for I don't know what the heck it was at the end, doing either triads or arpeggios or something. Just way too loud.
I don't have any notes about that.
Yeah, I just wrote that I liked the accordion apocalypse, even though I think it's a melodica, and that the vocals were blown out here, but they were still clear. This was the level that it was artistic and not destroyed.
I didn't try to identify the instrument. I just put Ren Fair instrument. But again, I can't hear the vocals. We're back to that, so a little bit less points. But it's a lot less busy than the first couple tracks, so I liked that better than those. I don't know if this album at any point figures out a balance between mud and mud and depth, I guess. The positive and negative of what we call that on the show.
Yeah, I just don't think there was very much mixing done at all, which is
That's
not.
fair.
I mean, you want it to sound raw. That's cool. Just you can only turn up everything so loud.
Oh, they know.
They found it.
They figured that out.
Yeah, they found it.
This is second album, 2 EPs prior as well. So I really hope they're mixing.
They're not a band
I say I
anymore.
didn't think they existed.
This
did they?
This was released. I think actually they already had said they weren't going to do anything else.
Oh,
Mm.
well, dang, why keep paying to... That's the other thing that confuses me. It's people that pay to have this stuff still have certain things on it. You can get into the Apple Music backend and see that he's still paying to keep that account up.
Well, the record company probably is.
Yeah.
Are they signed to a record?
Yeah, it's on a record deal.
Oh. That is surprising to me.
Yeah. This came out the full record release. That's what I was on the record company's YouTube page listening to this.
Yeah, I had to go based off of what was vaguely in Apple Music.
Go to the bottom of the the album.
Just the album.
Yeah. Go to the very bottom.
Records DK.
Yeah,
I assumed that was a at-home label.
that's fair.
All right. We'll go to track 6, Falling Asleep on the Phone. Give this a 4 out of 10.
Give this one a 6.
8.75. It's short, but I really like this song. It's not that much of a song. It's more of an interlude, or like almost an intro to the track before it, but I don't want to acknowledge that. I'm just going to listen to this song on its own.
Yeah. It's an interlude on a 13-track album with 2 of those tracks combined equaling half of the length. I don't think there needs to be an interlude here. I think there needs to be an interlude in the 20-minute song.
Well, to be 100% fair, I don't think this should be the intro to the next song either. I don't think you connect these two at all, even though they kind of do.
No, I think this is its own thing. It just doesn't go on this album.
That's fair.
This is not the album for an interlude.
It will not be the last either.
That's the other thing.
I'm not entirely sure this is an album, but it's fine.
That is also very true. No, like all the instruments that are going on here is great. This song is like, I wrote calmingly scary, and it comes up at least once a week. That every once in a while I'd like to listen to terrifying music. This fits. It didn't make a playlist, but probably could.
That's fair. Anything else?
No, all my problems with this track will be on the next one.
Just wrote that it was atmospheric.
Yeah, it was just an interlude vibe.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we'll go to track 7, Wetdream. I give this a 4 out of 10.
I gave it a 6.
I gave it a 6, but it's like a 6 for some of it. This is like 3 to 4 tracks, kind of mashed into one. And like 2 of them are pretty good, and I don't really care for the other 2. But not like for any, this part sucks. No, it's just I didn't like it as much as the other 2. Did not need to be 10 minutes long. The beginning is a little less muddy. I don't remember if it got there by the end, but it started off better. There's at least, I got like 2 or 3 timestamps down of when it switches to a completely different song that should have just been a different song. I think if this was the 3 or 4 songs that it should have been, and you remove the last track, it probably would be the same album.
Yeah, I don't know. I needed to rip headphone users because there was, after the build, it just destroyed everything in my ears to the point where I had to turn it off for a couple minutes. The first part was really clear. The second part, they got dirty and unintelligible again, but I kind of gave it a pass for some of that just because of the amount of art that is in this piece. You know, it's not that I don't get it. It's just there's a lot of objective things that are causing me to be able to enjoy, or causing me not to be able to enjoy it. That's really the answer.
Yeah. First song in this little bunch was pretty good. I did not care for the other two. Every time they did an outro, they added more and more effects. So by the time we got to the last song, if it was 3.5 or 4, it was just too much. The outro itself was like way too much.
I think I kind of like the outro.
Really? There was just, the AirPods were completely peaked like the whole time for the third part.
I liked the third part and then the outro. I didn't, mainly because there's like a squeaking sound kind of baked into it that when I listened in the car, I thought something was going horribly wrong with the car. And also, I skipped it earlier, but there is technically a transition seamlessly from the last interlude track into this one, and it is terrible.
They just didn't have a 12-minute long song.
No, but it's completely tone switch, vibe switch, and like instrument switch. It is not good. I really like the interlude track, but I hate the way it rolls into this one.
Sorry, at this point I'm like reading my notes. I'm like, I'm not gonna read that out loud. I just got really burnt out, and I took a break after this one and came back and didn't like it any better, but still.
Yeah, I had to take breaks to actually review the songs for the actual notes, and then I did an album listen again for the full album review. And this one, both times, just killed it. Like it really just broke everything.
And I really struggled because a lot of people said they loved this song. A lot of people said the album was a slow burn. This had really good ratings from a lot of people, said it was fun to listen to and all this and all that. And I just didn't get any of that. And like I wasn't having a bad day today. I wasn't taking that on anybody. For a while I thought I didn't get it. And then I realized there's just too many objective problems for me to see past.
See, that's the thing. I was having a rougher day today. It was rainy and crappy weather. And this was the right vibe. It really was. I felt like I connected with what was at the start of every song. And then the effects kicked in and it got hard to listen. And I don't know if that's just my ears are so damaged from gigging and going to shows over the years without earplugs until recently, and maybe I just messed up the range where it's supposed to perceive all that really well. What the heck was that noise?
No idea.
But yeah, it was exactly what I wanted to hear, and I only got let down by the effects. As far as the way it all moved and the soul of everything, I think I liked that part. I just didn't like the full put together picture.
Yeah, I think that's exactly like, I mean, that's what I've been trying to say is like from what I could tell of how the album was intended, I probably would have liked it if I could understand what they were intending. Mm-hmm. You know, and I'm not entirely sure it was well, I know it wasn't malicious, but I'm not entirely sure they realized they were putting all that distortion on. I think it could have just been bad gain staging or bad gain staging on top of AI mastering choices chosen wrong or something. You know, I think there's a lot of things that could have happened to get to that point because it's so sporadic.
Well, I also almost wonder if too it was they're like, oh, we want this on the vocals, and instead of hitting the vocal track, you just hit the master track if there was some mixing. Because at some points that's what it feels like. It's like they just clearly wanted this on the vocal here, and it just hit everything.
So distortion on the vocals is almost always awful.
Oh yeah, but
And-
if it's done for an artistic purpose,
Yeah, but you can't run it 100% wet. You have to blend some dry back in to make the vocals intelligible.
mm-hmm.
I mean, even stuff that we think of as being like distorted or radio voice or doing all that stuff, all you're doing is just filtering everything.
Mm-hmm.
You're not really running a bunch of distortion on the vocals, not at least main vocals. And
No.
not for a whole song, and definitely not for a whole album. Or the vast majority of an album.
No, I think it's definitely an effect most properly used 30 seconds most in a 4-minute song twice on an album. It's grating. It's really hard to want to listen to something so far gone and then try and pick a mess out of it. It's a cool effect when you're having someone talk to someone else that's, like whoever. But if you want that kind of fry, highly recommend just getting a harmonica mic. Carl put me on that wagon a couple weeks ago when I was talking about wanting a similar effect without distorting the vocals because I don't like how it sounds.
Right. I mean, most of what you think of when you think of distorted vocals is it's just a filter. It's just all the lows being moved up and some of the highs being shelved and sometimes a peak in the center. But I don't know. It's really interesting to do that and because that's what tells me it's not on purpose. Is I don't think there's a reason to do it and not blend it.
Oh yeah, I think it was an accident or just an oversight for sure.
And I did try a few different sources because I know people always tell me, well, yeah, you shouldn't be listening to this stuff on, recording studio stuff. Because that's what I sit down on I'm running an interface so I can get really high sound quality. And yeah, I'm using YouTube, but I'm running at the highest whatever and listening in studio cans, all that stuff. But I tried a couple different sources and didn't get a whole lot better. Because I turned my interface off and listened to it through the speakers on my monitor, and that's more fidelity than an iPhone, but not a lot. Because I thought maybe it's just mixed for like listening on your phone. Maybe not even like AirPods. And no, that really didn't fix it.
Actually, after I forgot about this. After my listen last night and then my listen today, I'm not convinced this was mixed for headphones at all. I think this is like speaker exclusive, kind of. Because the car speakers, I could at least understand kind of what was happening, and I didn't get to run them through like the monitors, but every headphone that I put them through, I couldn't hear pretty much any of the vocals at all.
I think what really happened, because you are right, they only sound good through speakers, but they only sound good through crappy speakers. Because I was listening to this through my record setup, and I've got some PV speakers that came out of like an old Kroger, So they were at one point the top dog 20 years ago.
20.
Yeah, minimum. It was probably came out in 96 from the store that closed when they got the speakers in 83 probably. And they're half blown. But you're right, this did sound really good through those. But they also had the headroom to take everything, which, yeah, but you have nice stuff, so I bet your speakers were just too high quality.
I mean, this is what I used. I used the DT770s.
Oh, okay, you weren't listening through your monitors.
No. I mean, I put it on not my monitor speakers, the built-in speaker on my monitor.
Oh, okay.
I don't have a nice monitoring setup. I don't have the room deadening to really do it justice, so I don't set any of that stuff up anymore. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was just frustrating because I really would have liked to be able to hear the album.
All right. We will move on to track 8. I'm going to call it White Heart. I don't know.
I called it heart emoji.
Yeah. I peeked the mic there. I don't know.
Wait, how many tracks did you have for this album?
13.
Cool. There's only 12, according to me. So I don't have anything for this track.
Oh. Well, if it makes you feel better, it's an interlude.
Yeah, I thought it fitting to give it
It's a 6.
thumbs
Yep,
up.
this is my thumbs up.
I give it a 5.5.
Yeah, this is completely missing from the official release. This was a bonus track or an add-on only on the pre-release, apparently.
Yeah, this is just... I wonder if it's probably just tacked on to the next song, because all it is like an acoustic intro, basically, to the next song. I don't even know that it's over a minute and a half.
Did any of them have music videos?
No.
Oh, okay.
No, this was a whole album upload by the record company. It was in one thing.
I say it could have been just tacked on at the beginning of like a music video, but
No, because the next track just starts really upbeat, so it's not that acoustic intro. Weird. Yeah, I saw that on the track listing, and then it said it was a bonus pre-release track. I was like, okay, whatever.
Huh. All right.
This is not my favorite of the interludes, but it's fine.
Yeah, this was my favorite of the interludes, but I think it's because it was the last one in my brain, and then I was wrong, and the next one faced the fury. All right. We'll go to track 9, Lost in Translation. I'll give this one a 6.5.
I give this one a 6.
6.5.
My favorite part about this one was the vocals got out of the way, finally, which sounds really bad. But when they were that distorted, nothing was like legible, and they were taking the legibility out of everything else. Now they just kind of became almost what sounded like a bad mic job on an amp. So that's fine. It just sounded like the guitar was kicking a little extra hard. It was the best in that sense. And the vibe itself of the song was pretty upbeat, pretty well paced. Good time.
Yeah, got like a pseudo beach song in the middle of whatever this album is supposed to be. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the one my note from earlier actually came from. The drums at one point in this song are just completely out of time in a really awful way. Short of that, you guys nailed everything else.
Yeah, they go to start doing a build section in this one, and the drum starts it at least 4 bars before everybody else. So he's just like, tong, 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 like 4 clicks behind everybody. It's pretty rough. All right, we'll go on to track 10. It merely marches forward. I give this a 4 out of 10.
This one also got a 6.
I also gave it a 6.
This was an interlude. Again.
Yeah, I gave it a 6 because it was very French. Very accordion and piano, and just felt French.
I completely missed this one the first time I listened to this. Had to go back, and afterwards I was like, I kind of like the other interludes better, but sure.
Yeah, I was quite mad that we got another interlude, especially that close to another one with a short track in between.
They're going to make up for that.
I'd say Carl at least only had the one interlude there, so it seems like probably did. Well, actually, I bet we're pretty close in pacing scores. But yeah, it's just not a wise decision. All right, we'll go to track 11, Playing Dead. I gave this a 6 out of 10.
This one got a 6.5.
I gave this. No, I didn't see the light. I forgot the lights coming on right now. I give this one a 7.
Is this a banjo on the intro?
It is, and it has to be a sample because it actually sounds good.
Okay, that's what I thought. That was great. And then it halts, like really abruptly. And then all the effects kick back in. But I could actually pick out what the progression was. It was a more standard kind of basic music progression. I can't remember if it was a 1-4-5 or if there was another chord in there, but it was somewhere along that line, 1-4-5-6. And then the outro being an out-of-tune piano was really cool until the last note was the worst out of tune. If you're going to do the out-of-tune piano, I'm always in the firm belief that the last 2 notes have to be right, or else it's just completely the worst gimmick in the world. If you can't end the song on the right note, why? Or start on the wrong note too.
Yeah, I'm lost. I didn't write anything about the auto-tune piano.
I did, but it was just that I liked it. You pretty much said every single thing in order that I had written down, just better than I wrote it down.
I bet we all had the same problem in this back half. It got harder and harder to write notes.
It just got harder and harder to listen. I don't know so much about the notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just pretty good transition between songs. I don't think we said, but the vibe and the energy of this one were up, but then it went right back to more of the same. All the same problems we've been having. Until the piano.
Yeah.
See? Same thing.
All right.
No.
Carl, you got anything else?
Carl?
Sorry, no, you guys took all my notes.
Does that mean objectively that's correct? Or
I think so. All right.
The council has spoken.
We have. We'll go to track 12, Bury Me. I gave this a 3.
Ooh, I give this one a 6.
I also gave it a 6. Although I don't like the beeps and boops throughout this one.
My notes are as follows. Plus, the vocals are not fried. Minus, the guitar and bass are more fried, therefore ruining the thing they almost fixed.
Oh, I think I figured out why you hated this one. Did you read the lyrics?
No.
It is one line. Over and over and over again.
Well, it already got a 5 when it had a 50-second long intro of nothing.
Yep.
And then I immediately got kicked right in the face by their wall of sound. And I was out of it. It was nice enough because it was quiet. It was just finally quiet. And then they kicked me. Oh, man, I was pissed. I hated this.
Yeah, most of my notes are about the lyrics and the song being short. I was like, I wrote that I guess it's okay, but it's a little ridiculous referring to the lyrics, and then ... you don't know the meaning of the word ridiculous. And then also parentheses foreshadowing. There's only one track left, so I wonder what that could be foreshadowing.
Yeah. All right. Ready?
Do you have anything?
Probably impending doom. That's what it's foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Anything else on this song, Carl?
No, I read all my notes.
Cool. All right, we'll go to track 13, Revisited. I gave this a 0.
I gave it a 5 originally, but I feel like that's being very generous.
I think the 0 is very justified, but we'll get into it after Connor's score.
I have written down a 4, which also might be generous. Last night when I listened to this, I didn't have a single problem with this song. I was like, it's fine. It's their like big climactic ending. I'll give it to them. Sure. Is it way too long? Yes. Is it like 6 to 10 songs smashed into one? Yes. But oh well. And then I listened to it today, and every time the song ended and came back, it made me more mad. So I think I'm going to give it a 2.
Yeah, I think I might actually change it to a 3. It was just kind of like a rock opera, but bad. I mean, worse. I really appreciated the ideas and the writing. I just couldn't get past how awful it sounded and how awful it was that it was long. And kept going. And kept going. And kept going. And kept going.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'd rather listen to Octavarium twice.
You know it's bad when I have a note that says the guitar part around 17 minutes is cool.
Yeah. So this got a 0 because this is an EP. Flat out. If you were to cut where these songs all cut, it's an EP. There's 5 songs here. It also took 3 minutes for there to be any vocals or really anything of significance.
Yep.
Then around the 6-minute mark, the song finally got into a good groove. And then they style changed about every 3 minutes after that. It really couldn't keep me interested without like the ability to truly split this track, or the reason I think this would work as an EP is because I could skip some of the songs. You just can't press the skip button at any point in this other than like just fast forwarding to the next section that you want to hear. And that's stupid. We don't have cassette decks anymore where I have to skip songs that way.
I kind of at first thought it maybe was meant to be a bonus track. Like I was like, oh, okay. And then I looked down at the bar and I was like, oh, there's 15 minutes left. Because the first one is over, and I was like, oh, that wasn't so bad. And I was like, oh, cool, a bonus track.
Mm-hmm.
No.
How many of those do we get?
I mean, yeah, it's like a. And then I was like, okay, maybe it's a recap. Maybe Marianas trenched us. And I tried to think of it as as like a recap of some of the ideas from the album. And then I was like, no, none of these are the same.
Nope.
I'm also pretty sure the last thing that they do is yell. Like I'm pretty sure the lyrics are just listed as capital A H H H H H.
That's pretty on brand. I don't think that's a negative.
No, I'm pretty sure it's like the last 2 minutes of this song.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest. I never made it through it once. I skipped around, and then I never made it fully through this last song.
That is very fair.
That's right. I listened to it once for me, once for Carl.
So I listened to it twice as well, but once was with pauses so I could get my composure back in hearing to write down notes about the song.
I didn't stop either time.
Yes, didn't stop for the full album listen. That was rough. And that's where we get into our next thing. Go on to pacing, which I gave a 0.
I didn't hate the pacing. I gave it a 4.
I also gave it a 4.
The thing that bothered me was this album feels like it's so much longer than it is.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about that a lot. The thing that really affects pacing for me is like when I sit down at the end of it, how long have I felt like I was listening to this album? And it felt like I'd been listening to this album for like 4 hours.
It legit felt like half of my day went by.
And I mean, I have never felt something that felt like it was dragging me along, kicking and screaming so hard. I mean, I don't know if I am just not, if I don't get it, if I'm just not the person for this, or what, but I mean, it was just a miserable experience, so that's why it got what it got.
Yeah, I mean, I could sit here and explain how I think we could fix it, but I think there'd be too much. I mean, it's really just the last song is its own EP and split Wetdream into 2 tracks. And then we get to the point where we can start moving stuff around, which I hadn't even thought of that. So,
I mean, I'd have to be able to hear what's going on to be able to figure out. I think that I'd probably rather have 25 2-minute tracks than the way this was presented to us.
I agree.
As annoying as that is to say out loud.
I would rather have to Janet Jackson it again than do this again. Look, there's 3 interludes, an intro, 2 tracks that take up half of the runtime of the album, and they're the most miserable ones. They're not the worst tracks. They're just the hardest to get through. And it's because 10 minutes of fried everything it's awful. It's just awful for you. My head hurt, my ears hurt, my AirPods hurt. I don't know how that's possible, but my headphones physically hurt.
I mean, this was like the equivalent of like going to the carnival and ordering one of everything and waking up the next morning. That's what it did to my ears.
Yeah, for real.
I don't know. I don't know if the mix is fixed that I'd know what to say about this album either. That's the other thing. I tried to be objective and say, okay, let's put that over here. But I could never get past it for long enough to make any real remarks. Other than, oh, that one little tidbit was cool. Oh, it had a sprinkle of something neat. Oh, I can appreciate the art they're trying to do here.
I think if I could hear it, it would be a much higher score across the board. But I can't hear most of it as it sits now.
I really think I'm like one of the least approachable people about noise music. I'm like, my guard is as up as it can be. So when I have noise music presented to me, I have a high standard for it. And I know that this show doesn't allow for that. So I pulled back the curve, expecting to still be like a little critical of it. But I don't know that I was critical enough of this. Because I can't be critical. There's no Well, actually, I think there are things to be critical of here. I think it's so far buried.
Yeah, it's this really funny thing. If you noticed, almost all of my scores were 6s because I can't actually tell. And 6 is middle of the road for me as long as it's not country.
That's
and then
fair.
4 is middle of the road. It legit. I don't have enough answers to actually do anything.
My ratings, I would say objectively for this episode, are more so based on the scale that we tend to do for album overall, which is how likely am I to listen to this again or recommend it to people. And I think that was realistically the only way I could rate any of these songs was like my 6.5s. One, if they're on over here or on in the car, they're just not going to bother me at all. And if someone was to go, hey, can you show me a song in this style, right? If someone was like, I wanted some noise pop, those are ones that I would know and go, oh, you can try this. It may be a little rough on you, but you can try it. Revisited, the pacing, I don't know that I would ever show that to like myself again.
So before we do overall, before we start cheating it, we should get into the one good part of the album.
Oh yeah, the album art. Yeah, I gave it an 8.
I gave it a 6.
9 out of 10.
I love it.
Banger album art.
Goes hard. It's I'm not exactly sure what the heck it is, but it looks like a mom and a son in a hammock or a boat. That's a boat. There's water under it. Yeah,
It's definitely a boat.
I didn't see the water at first. Yeah, and then it's some sort of Western country or Eastern country. Sorry, I was thinking about the wrong side of the globe. It's some sort of Eastern country like style of art. I'm not exactly sure which one.
Yeah, it always loses points whenever the album name or band name or there's nothing telling me what it is on it. That's a big negative for me.
I actually don't mind it on this one. I think if the picture is good enough on an album art, it doesn't need the name of everything.
So, like, I understand it's art, but, like, if I'm buying a can of soda and it doesn't tell me what kind of soda it is by the name, like I hate Starry. What is that supposed to taste like?
Starry
Doesn't taste anything like space.
But if you saw an orange can with like a green on one, split down the middle, green and yellow, with a lemon on it, like that logo, you'd still know it was Starry probably.
I think that's Orange Crush because it's an orange can. If
What?
it didn't have a name
you
on
did
it.
say orange.
Oh, I meant green and yellow.
Okay, if it's green and yellow, I'm going to think it's Mountain Dew. Or Sprite. Which
No,
Starry
I
is
think-
bad Sprite, but
I think it's going to have to be silver and green for me to think Mountain Dew.
that's Diet Dew. But I guess that's fair.
See,
Yeah, they kind of switched all their
we're
branding
forgetting
to
about the
close to
red
that.
in the Mountain Dew logo here.
Yeah,
That to me is the definitive factor. Of
Well,
Mountain
but-
Dew.
I was gonna say, if it was just like stripped back to just colors and maybe a logo, if it has one, you'd still know what it is.
Yeah, I don't need it to scream the product name at me. I
Mm-hmm.
don't necessarily need it to scream the band name. I just would like for it to have something.
I do agree that this is a terrible album art for this album. One, not even close to what I would have thought this was, especially with the Apple Music tag of alternative.
Well, we talk about that every week. Apple Music has no idea what they're doing with that.
No.
Put,
Yeah,
put us in charge.
I do think it is just a nice image. Maybe not the best for the album. I was feeling quite mean by the time I wrote that score down.
I think album art's great.
All right, you guys ready for album overall?
Ooh, here we go.
I gave it a 3.5.
I gave it a 3, but I have a caveat.
I gave it a 4. And I think this is the most, I don't know if I'll say all this, but this is the most I've ever written on overall.
I famously never write overall and come up with it on the spot. And the only
Same.
thing I have ever been able to come up with for this album is I'm not going to show anybody it, and I'm never going to listen to the whole thing again. There's a few tracks I wouldn't mind hearing again, but you cannot sit through this whole thing again. At least I'm cutting out those 2 tracks, and it may be a somewhat okay listen.
Yeah, I just wrote I would not recommend this. But, again, I think it could just be that I don't get it, or it's not for me. You know, all of the comments on that video were incredibly positive about how life-changing this album was. It got huge scores from a ton of other people. everyone loves it. They say it gets better every time you listen to it. And I'm sitting here listening to this thing going, I don't freaking get it at all. Like, I just don't, like, I don't hear any of the things that make it even redeemable, let alone good. You know, and I'm sitting there like, okay, maybe I just don't get it. So that's why I said with a caveat, because I think there's a good chance this just isn't an album for us. And it's not that it's, I mean, there are some objectively bad things, but I don't know. I guess some people don't listen to music with their ears, so they don't have those problems. I don't know. I don't know how to explain that other than that.
Sometimes they listen with their heart. They think you should be a nice person because the musicians behind making it are really good people.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool art going on from what I can hear of it. I mean,
this is at the least an art showcase, which is some semblance of cool. And there is musicianship here, right? To a degree. Do I know how professional or great they are at it? No, it's a little too buried. But you can tell they know what they're supposed to be doing for the most part, playing-wise. That's like a decent, solid step. Now, a click track could probably have been used a couple times, but, you know, you live and you learn.
I mean, I just think in a world of YouTube tutorials where the knowledge exists, there's no excuse. You can go watch a YouTube tutorial about how to record whatever you want. And funny enough, most of them are good enough that you're going to end up with a considerably better product than this.
Yeah. And also, the equipment's cheap enough to get a better sound than this for like $100.
I don't know about 100. I mean, I don't think the PreSonus mic pack and interface, and I don't think.
Oh, I'm thinking direct line into a Focusrite from every amp, and then, well, I guess, yeah, and a microphone, assuming someone didn't have one at home already.
I think you can get an iRig and whatever $15 dynamic mic can do this equivalent pretty much. Pretty close to, if you're willing to download free software.
Yeah. Carl stole a lot of my notes here. My first one was, I don't think I get it. But last night, I thought I got it, I guess. A lot of the stuff written down was, I think I get it now. And then after today's listen, I was like, I definitely don't get it. Don't know what he was on about last night, but this is one where I'm kind of like, maybe in a year I'll come back to it and have like what Logan did with Orpheus. Where it's like, wow, I was completely wrong during this review, but as it stands right now, definitely not an album made for me.
Yeah, I don't want to beat up on it because Carl is right. I don't know. But I do know it isn't for me. I can confidently say this is not my type of music. I'm glad that this is for somebody out there, and I hope that they really do enjoy it. That's, you know, any music that someone finds enjoyability out of is good music, you know, as long as we keep spreading the love of music. Carl may agree or disagree. It's the same way I don't hate MGK as a guitar player, and it's just because he got people to play guitar.
No, I mean, I don't think there's many types of art that are bad unless they like cause harm.
Yeah, it cause harm or just like art posing as art.
Or, you know, spewing hate, causing harm, those type of things. You know, I don't think this is any of that. You know, it's objectively bad sounding for me. And yeah, I'm an audio engineer, so yeah, I have a lot of notes about a lot of albums, and I don't say a lot of them on here. But I do complain a lot about mixes, and this was probably the worst one we've ever done. So, you know, I didn't expect it to do well, but man, by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, please, never again.
Respectfully, I disagree with that last note, but I'm not getting into that here.
An EP came to mind.
Several names came to mind.
Yeah. What are we listening to next week?
Oh, wow. Give me 1 second. That's not the ad.
Well, he's pulling that up. You can go ahead and check out our album merch, our album book club merch over on our Fourth Wall shop. This year, we are sporting our album mug club mugs as well as our varsity wear and all previous seasons merch. You can check out there.
So I'm going to amend my statement and say no one backed by a record label has had an album that sounds this bad here.
Okay, yeah, that'll give
okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
That's 100%
because we haven't done Metallica, but
Stayed away from Rick Rubin mostly.
no, that's just I don't like it. I can get past that.
All right. Next week, we'll be listening to They Left Me With the Sword by Paris, Texas. Possibly our shortest album to review on the show. It is a whopping 20 minutes long, 8 tracks.
Yeah, I think we're at 29 or 26, like 12 tracks.
Definitely breaking a record.
Woo. All right.
We're going to have Max with us at least.
Yeah, maybe Carson will be back.
So
We're tagging out on weeks apparently. Passing the sickness around.
Who have I been? Sorry.
All right. See y'all next week.
See ya.